Hi folks, it's Coach Kelvin here from the We Run Virtual Run Club and We Run Coach for Leeds and surrounding areas, as well as online coaching. In this little video, I'd like to talk to you about recovering after an event and something that's really important. Sometimes I think it's one of the most important parts of someone's training because it's going to have a bearing on what comes next. But first, let's just kind of rewind back to some timescales. A shorter event, maybe such as a 5K race, recovery can be about a week for a 5K, all the way up to things like ultra marathons. If someone was like running 100 miles, events lasting 24 hours or more, it might be like 4 or 5 weeks before that runner's fully recovered. So here I'm going to use myself as an example. I ran a mountainous trail marathon yesterday, and my legs are pretty beaten up today. I was out for just under 6 hours and 25 minutes, which was a really good, strong race. My body allowed me. I was in a position fitness-wise to push hard on the race, which is good. And now I've got to manage my recovery. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few days off running because I do want to sort of bear in mind a couple of things. One is delayed onset muscle soreness. So my quads are pretty sore today, but they're kind of okay. They could actually be a lot worse tomorrow and even worse the day after. So I've just got to give them a chance to recover. I will hydrate well. I will eat really well, particular attention to replenishing my muscle glycogen store, so eating plenty of carbohydrate and plenty of protein as well. And then what I'll do after these kind of first sort of maybe 3 or 4 initial days, I'll probably reflect my taper. So I'll do a mirror image of my taper. So as I sort of taper down into the event, I can just switch that round and use that as a bit of a gauge to build back up. And the thing that I sort of alluded to earlier that's like one of the most important parts of training is obviously I did a big training block for this event, plus a taper that created a spike in fitness that allowed me to perform on race day. And what a lot of people forget is obviously the event is an exceptionally strong workout. So with the right recovery, further down the line, I will get a significant bump in fitness. And I do want to catch that bump and make sure that I'm ramping up my training at least to a maintenance level when that hump arises. So I'm expecting that to be in maybe 2 to 3 weeks after a 6.5 hour event. So 6.5 hours of pushing pretty hard. And that will reflect my race in September. So I will be able to use that as a little springboard to sort of jump into the next phase of my training. And it's not uncommon, as a running coach to see people's training and they've trained really well for an event and they do really well in the event. And then they let the fitness almost go back to a baseline. And in maybe 2 or 3 months they decide they want to do another event, and then they do like a similar type of training and expect to have a better event, and they end up having quite a similar event because they keep letting their fitness almost sort of plateau or to a low base before they sort of go again. And the idea is to sort of fill in these little troughs between events. So I'll be very mindful to get my some easy volume back in as soon as my legs will allow, and then starting to add in a little bit of intensity. As I add in the intensity, I'll always be mindful that how do we put this, that the neurological system can sometimes lack a little bit behind the muscular system when it comes to repair. So even once my legs are feeling great, I do have to be mindful that the muscles might not be quite firing in the same way that they should. So one of the most important parts of training is catching that bump in fitness that's created by the stimulus of an event. So the stimulus of the event plus a well-managed recovery equals a big bump in fitness, and I'll use that as a springboard to jump into the next phase of my training. So I hope that makes some sort of sense, and if you have any questions, please just pop them in the comments below. And for now, Happy running!